Hello everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of our animated texture pack series. To start out, I would just like to say thank you guys so much for all of your support. I did not really expect after the first video of the series to receive this much feedback, and it has truly been phenomenal. Love you guys, really appreciate it. Just don't know what to say. You guys make me really happy, and that's all there is to it. So I just want to start out and say thank you. I also want to go through a few comments. On Reddit, we have Scotty Delicious. He offered to help me out with GIMP, seeing as I'm not very familiar with it, but we'll be using it throughout the series. So that will help us progress at a much faster rate, because if I ever struggle with something, I can find out from him, and then I'll make the episode after I'm familiar with how to actually do what I plan on doing. It'll make everything much smoother. Good to go. So thank you, Scotty Delicious, for that. And then also Frake here, who commented on, right there, on YouTube, saying you can actually just have your changed files in a texture pack folder. And of course we can do that. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, start out with, we're just going to have a blank texture pack folder. That's where it's stored, Minecraft texture packs. And we're going to add what we want our folder to be called, our texture pack to be called. So let's call it animated. Very simple. Now we're going to need a few things before this will actually work. And the first thing is going to be a pack.txt. What the pack.txt does is actually allow the Minecraft.jar to recognize the folder as a texture pack and give it a label. So you can start with that, and you can do this in any text editor, but we're just going to do it in TextEdit because I'm on a Mac and that is the most convenient. So let's call it ZMattStudio animated TP for texture pack. And let's call it 0.2 version, since this is the second episode. Save it. We're going to be saving it and calling it pack.txt. Now actually we want it to be inside of animated. And there we go. Should show up right there. And now Minecraft will be able to recognize animated as an official texture pack. Not official, but you get the point. So another nice thing to have is pack.png. Now I just made this real quick. It's based on the same blend logo I used for my YouTube channel. However, it changed how many pixels were involved just so it could fit the standard texture pack file size. So, and that'll just give it some coloration. Now we'll also need to find a place to store our files. So just like in the jar, this starts off with a folder called textures. And inside textures, we have blocks. Inside blocks is where we're going to store all the textures we create, starting with Portal PNG, which we made in the last episode. The very nice thing about this is it means that when we update the jar, we don't have to worry about accidentally deleting the texture files we made. And they'll always be ready no matter how many times we update the jar. For instance, I just uploaded 13W03A snapshot. And if I had left it as I did after the last episode, we would either have left off out on a new snapshot, or we would have completely lost our texture. So texture packs are a good idea. Let's start there. I messed something up there, but that's okay. We'll fix it. It's actually related to what we're doing. I renamed a texture. So here's our purple portal default And now right in here we can change to our animated. And there we go, red, just the way we like it. So our texture pack is now fully functional as a texture pack, which is wonderful. So let's begin looking at what texture pack we're going to be working on today. After taking a look, I figured there's two real things that I'd like to work on. And that'd be the golden powered rail powered and the activator rail powered. However, there's a slight problem with that in that they're both the same, and after we do one, it will seem kind of repetitive. So what we're actually going to do is work on the activator rail powered today, and then on the golden rail powered, I will just do that in my own time, since we'll be doing virtually the same thing. So let's take a look at what this currently looks like, and we'll decide what we'll do from there. So here we are in the Minecraft.jar. As you can see, the problem texture was that I'm missing the unpowered version because I actually stored it in here. So let's put that back there, and that's exactly where we want it. We'll put the copy of this in here, as well as we'll make a copy of the unchanged version. And now everything will work perfectly fine. Now, if we take a look at these files, what you'll notice is something really interesting that I noticed when we took a look at them earlier. How it's designed is with one single strip down the middle under the rail, as well as certain lights on the side. Now, what occurred to me is what's under it is kind of like a redstone wire running from track to track. And then the redstone is what here is what actually does the activation of the TNT block. So I say we have this red texture blink, and that way it'll seem like it's blinking, the TNT goes over it, activates. As for this, we're going to expand it here and here so it will stack with other textures, and we can also have a red line going back and forth in an animation, which will allow us to give the appearance of a red line moving of redstone moving underneath the rail. To do that, we actually need both of these textures. We're going to be starting with actually the deactivated version as our default, and then coloring it when appropriate. Now, the first thing we're going to want to do is actually import the activated version as a separate layer. This will allow us to use the dropper tool to copy certain colors. So to do that, we go File, Open as Layers, and we can select the activator rail powered copy.png. And we can, at any time, we can hide what layer is showing, which will be very, very convenient as the time goes on. Now, first thing we're going to want to do after that is increase the size of our image. And to do that, we'll go to Image, Canvas Size, and we have to choose a new height. Since this is 16 pixels high, and we plan on having the wire run all the way through, we're going to want 16 different frames in total. 16 times 16 is 256. Now, as you can see by this yellow box, we're still fairly restricted in what we can do. So to extend the entire layer size to that of the image, we can go to Layer, and Layer to Image Size. And now we have the same problem here. So we can go to Layer, Layer to Image Size. And then we should have no problems. So let's hide the color texture, and we can start here. Now, first thing we will want to do is extend the redstone line underneath so that the texture can stack. To do that, we select the dropper tool, select a color, press X, which switches our main color, and then select another color. Now, after choosing the pencil and resizing it to be 1, we can go here and here, press X, here, X again, there we go. And we actually have a fairly easy texture, and it's all connected now. Now it's this blank texture that will become our template, so we want to be able to copy that, paste it, and move it downwards. And you can click anywhere to anchor that texture. Now when I make this texture visible, as you can see, it will not affect what's down here. However, we actually do want it visible because of some of the work we're going to be doing. So what we're going to have is, on the right side, we're gradually going to have the coloration go up, and the left side is going to be coming down. So we'll start here and select the dropper tool. Now, since we'll want a nice bright color, we'll select one of the brighter ones that we see. This one looks pretty good. Doesn't seem to be saving at the moment. Hold on. Alright guys, I figured it out. I had just forgotten to change some of the active layers, the order. But it all works now, so go here, select 2 different colors, and go back to here. So we go to editing, and we'll want to start with this down here as a bright red, right there, and a bright red here as well. Now what's down here is fairly invisible. However, there's still going to be something that's faded a small bit right over here, because this is coming in from the other side. So if this is bright, this is faded, this is even more faded. And that's how that will work on both of these edges. Now, the red will be hidden here, so you can no longer see it. Actually, here's an idea. Let's make it too long just to make sure it's a little bit more visible. So what we're actually going to do is to have both of these a bright red color. Now in this picture, we're actually going to have this, because the bright red is now hidden under the rail here. Oops. And under the rail here. Now what we can do is simply add another one of these and enter it in. Because as long as this is saved on our palette, everything will work just fine. So last time we checked, both of the bright colors were here and here, and now they're both going to be hidden under the rail. So we're going to use the darker red on either side. This darker red simply shows that as the light is fading away into darkness, that is what results. And so we can just add another and that was a mistake. Bring it in, and the process begins to get fairly repetitive, as you can see. So I'm probably going to speed this up a little bit in post-production, or eliminate some of this if I can't find a way to do that in the video editor. Alright guys, one more thing I just considered, because the light's probably also going to be coming in from the side a small bit. Different areas, you'll probably want to consider how the lights will affect on the side. So for instance, here's, because they're so close, it doesn't matter. But say down here, everywhere you have a bright red light next to it, you'll want a dark red one. Alright, and that'd be all until we start the blinking. So let's check out what our current texture looks like. We're going to start by saving the GIMP file, activator rail. That's going to be powered. Save. That's the old thing I was working on. The test. And let's try exporting a version as well. Okay, so we've now put this in under the blocks folder in our texture pack. Let's see what it looks like. Only this was the wrong one. There we go. Everything should be fixed. There we go. Now let's see what happens when we power it. Oh dear, now that is a problem. Oh no, it's not. What we do is go to the animated, done. Now don't tell me that doesn't look cool. That looks bloody amazing. Now, of course, the problem with this is whenever we disconnect, this becomes unconnected now, meaning we're going to actually have to go to the old file and change this as well. However, that's will be very simple. That'll be normal texturing, so it should be very easy to do on your own using the same techniques we just used. So what we'll still want to do, however, is to have these links on the side blinking. So let's do that next. So we're back, guys. Now what we'll probably want to end up doing is taking what's here and putting that over. So we're going to focus on editing this texture a little bit. Now to do that, we're just going to start by deleting everything we don't want copied. So all these blinking things are going to remain, while everything else will be destroyed. To do that, we can select the erase tool, select hard edge, and size will be 1. And now absolutely everything we go over will be deleted. However, let's make this a little bit larger. I'll say a size of 3 is probably pretty good. And I just messed that up, didn't I? For some reason I wanted to keep the rails. And here we go. What we have is the lit texture. So let's go over. Just want to make sure that it's going to be lined up. and we start selecting. Now my guess is it's going to look best if it's on every other. That might be a little fast, so we can experiment with this. So, since this is started out colored already, what we're going to do is paste and move this down 2 of them. And we can keep moving down, paste again and again. Now, in order to make sure you're on the right track, good to remember certain numbers. So there's 4 of these, or you can recognize patterns. For example, there's this checkerboard in the middle. However, given that sometimes patterns can repeat themselves early, it's best to go by number count in this case. One, 2, 3, 4 skipped. Oops. And there we go. And repeat, and I'll speed this up part 2 or remove it depending on the video editing process. And there we go. We finished this all up. So now that these are both set as activated, we can just quickly save this and try exporting again. Now if we ever want to change it, since they're in different layers, we can always just alter this main layer, which we may have to do depending on our next results. So here we have powered. I'm going to click replace our old texture. And let's start up Minecraft and see what we've got. So turn this on, and it plays pretty fast. So unless you want a seizure, chances are you'll want to change that. So let's do that. Now the reason why I'm not just changing its pace in a .txt file is I actually, by looking at this, I thought the middle thing went perfectly. And if we edited a .txt file, then this would go slower as well, which is something we don't want, meaning we're forced to edit the image in this case. So let's take a look at this layer, and we're going to want to erase most of this. It hurts, I know. So, but let's look at the top. We will want this colored, and this colored, this deleted, oop, hard edge, this deleted, and next one deleted. And we want this one lit, lit, deleted, deleted. So we're just deleting every other one. And then we'll be using the selector tool. We can just repeat the process we just finished, only putting them in different places. So just copy, activate, and paste. I'll get back to you when we're done. All right, so we're all finished, and we're going to try this again. Here we are. Well, it's much better, much slower now. However, my guess is you still want to go probably twice as slow, and that will be the best shot we have. Now, we can't just lower it by 1 again because it's 16 by 16, so whatever number we choose has to be divisible. 16 has to be able to be divided by it. So one more time, oops, and that should do the trick. You probably get the picture now, so I'll just do that off camera. Alright guys, here's the finished result. Here's the regular default. And when we go into our texture pack, here we are, our nice red portal, and this is our finished result. You can see everything is now stacked together, so it looks nice and pretty. I think that looks just beautiful. So guys, we finished our second texture. Whoa. As always, if you have any questions, you can ask them on the YouTube video, or when I release the Reddit, it releases on Reddit tomorrow. You can also ask questions on that Reddit thread. Speaking of which, I'd like everyone to know that kind of as a reward for you guys, I've decided to release videos on Reddit the day after I make them, so that way you guys who subscribe to me can get this stuff right away. So kind of a reward for you guys, as you've been so awesome. Anyway, again, any questions, suggestions, feedback, you give them, I'll receive. They'll be more than happy. So, thank you again, guys. I just love that. Alright, see ya.